Hello and welcome back to another episode of Coptic Cave. I have with me Brother Navid Ansari. It's actually his second time here, but it's his first time on the new and improved version of the Coptic Cave. Welcome back, Navid.
It's a huge honor. We've done already three or four, I think, episodes. One on yours with different, the other settings. Three on mine. So people, and I had like 10 podcast episodes till now, and you can realize how I really, I don't know, admire that. I love to have podcasts with you, and it's always lovely to walk with you and talk with you about this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've been tremendously helpful in sort of getting my own, podcast up off the ground, improving its quality, recommending Riverside to me, giving me the promo code, which came in clutch. Khayli Mamnoon Ghorbanet. I appreciate you so much.
You didn't even need to say that, but thank you for the credit. But that's my point. On the first episode, I told you we have to help each other. We are so alone.
Absolutely, absolutely. And speaking of feeling alone, all right,
Warming up people.
I sometimes feel more and more alone with how many people bury their heads in the sand about Islam. And I guess, burying your head in the sand is okay while you still have your head attached to your body before the Muslims fucking cut it off. But I think people are delusional about Islam. I really think people are delusional about Islam. If individuals are the sum total of their decisions, then religions have to be the sum total of their history, their decisions, and also their scripture. What do you say?
Your perspective is always different with me. You're a nerd for us, and we love it. You are a kind of big, uh, you know, data of data, big kind of major data for us. That it's always helpful, and I learn really. In my opinion, the way that I'm talking about it in Germany, in my community, with my friends, whatever, I'm talking about first-hand experience. That's why I really admire Mos Abbas and Yusuf. I don't expect from Europeans or Americans, to understand what we felt in Middle East, and especially for me in Iran, for you in Egypt or in Egyptian community, whatever. But the main point is that you at least have to recognize a problem with Muslims or Islam, if there is any, which I claim we have active Islamic colonization in Europe, that it's happening. And why can I say that, and why do I claim that? What's my source? My country, my homeland, Iran, is the only country on planet Earth right now that it's under active colonization. It's still not colonized, although that it was the first one. Still not colonized. And then you see in New York a 12 Imam fucking Shia. Oh my God! Then you realize, man, how fucked up we are and alone.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. And the thing about Mamdani is he says a lot of the same things that that piece of shit Ayatollah Khomeini said, but he says it in different ways because, he's in New York, and so he can't say it the same way
Actually,
that
about
Khomeini said
buses, he
it.
said the same.
Instead of, Khomeini said that economics is for donkeys.
Ugh.
Okay. And so Memdani's version of this is free childcare, free buses, free this, free that. And,
That's.
when Khomeini was flying into Iran,
Hmm.
somebody asked him, how do you feel about coming back to Iran after so long? And he said, Hichchi. He feels nothing.
Nothing.
And Mamdani says that Palestine is the core of his politics. So, these people really don't have a fucking clue about what's going to hit them. And it might not be Mamdani himself, but it will definitely be the crowd that carried him into politics, the crowd that carried him into power, just like it was with Khomeini, although it was, very much Khomeini, but also his crowd. The Khomeini was carried into politics by the Tudeh party, the communists, okay? And as soon as Khomeini arrived into power, what happened? What happened to all
And
the
about that, I
allies?
have to mention something. Before that, we jump into these leftists that they see themselves in alliance with Islam. about Iran that we are talking about a revolution. And we had also infiltration from CIA, America, other countries, and also even the king of the country. He did build around about 10 to 20,000 mosques in our country. Muhammad Reza Shah was a Shia Muslim, and unfortunately, he loved his country. But what was his coalition in his era? Not with leftists, I mean so-called leftists. Those motherfuckers were spies from the Soviet Union. I am a leftist right now. I'm a patriot about my country. It's a political ideology. Those motherfuckers were spies. Stalin was their god. And the other one was kind of, we call it kind of like center-right, like nationalist patriots, kind of like that, Mossadegh, and the continuation of that. And he couldn't, for various reasons, he didn't make a coalition with them. His coalition was with mullahs. And you see, a great king like that, done. Where is he? The guy is not even in Iran. His grave is not even in his homeland.
That's in my country,
It's in Egypt.
Yeah. It's in my
crazy.
country, Egypt. It's just too bad. It's just
At least,
too
man,
bad.
Khomeini said, I don't feel anything. He said nothing. That one that said nothing, his results was that. This one that says Palestine, what will be his results? Oh my God. That's a joke.
And, it's ironic, right? Because Khomeini came into Iran to support Palestine. Okay? But what happened when Saddam invaded Iran? Who did the Palestinians support? Saddam. They supported Saddam.
They call him Sayyid al-Shuhada, the kings of...
And who helped Iran behind the scenes? Which country was the only one to sell them weapons? Israel. Even with the considering this fact that Islamic regime was there. But they've kind of realized that the balance of power will get ruined if we don't help sovereignty of Iran. Right. And I remember I read one story about a former Iranian soldier who served in the Iran-Iraq war. Because the Ayatollahs, the Akhund, they made it all about Shia Islam, and we're preserving our dignity and our faith. But then this Iranian soldier who believed in Shia Islam, he found himself fighting other Shia Muslims in Iraq. They were the same people, but the Shia Muslim from Iraq hated the Shia Muslim from Iran. It's just,
Actually,
I feel so bad for Iranians. I feel so bad for
That's
Iranians.
something interesting about us that actually I was thinking about it. What's our relationship among Iranians and Islam? Our history, that we've got conquered like, oh my God, we were at the fucking, square of the world. If even you wanted to fuck another country's mother, you had to go through us, So Mongolians came, Greeks, everyone, brother, came to our country, it was so fucked up. The geography of Iran was that. And the interesting point is that this identity, this culture, Iranian culture survived. And if you go to Iran, talk with even normal people, you will realize that we could kind of, adopt them and Iranize them. Even Mongolians, other than the Greeks that they were just there for 50 years. And it's interesting, Islamic regime is also there less than 50 years. So we will see the repeat, the repeat of this, the history will repeat itself, maybe. But anyway, even Mongolians, they came, they've got Iranized, And even for Islam, we had the same approach. I've realized that. As you can say, in Iran, we had Baha'i Muslim. Interesting.
Are Baha'is considered Muslim? I thought they were considered
Baha'i
something
is
else. They are?
is a kind of another way of Islam, but the Imam came, and actually the beginning is from Shiraz, my city. I didn't know that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's a moderate Islam. And even Shia Islam is so popular in Iran. What's the difference between Shia and Sunni for Iranians? I realized that we could, in a short time of history, Safaviya, before the conquer of Ottomans and Afghans, before Nadir Shah. We've adopted Shia Islam for unifying our country. And we've tried, that's just one sample, one example. We've tried even to integrate Islam within ourselves. But this fucking book is so out of touch in order to integrate it that it's impossible. Although that we have the best Muslims on planet Earth in Iran right now. I see the videos. Without hijab, with chador, this kind of stuff, not burqa, but full. They walk, young girls. That's the freedom that we are, practicing. But still, Islam is just as a baby and they are continuing their colonization in Europe. What do you want to do about it? That's why I say to my European friends sometimes that there come a day that because you are criticizing Islam, Iran is free and you have to be a political refugee in Iran. Be aware of that. That's not a joke. That's serious. That's serious because we will be free
be applying
and
for asylum in Iran.
And we are always welcoming. We had like 50,000 Polish refugees. Yeah, I mean, that land doesn't belong to any ethnicity or whatever. If you want to be Iranian, you can, It's even bigger than American style. They're old also.
If it all goes to shit here in USA and Iran is a free country by then, Iran is going to have to be my backup plan. I'm glad that I studied a little bit of Farsi and I can read Farsi. I can read better than I can speak. So, Iran might have to be the backup plan.
You're the whole package of advantage to be a political refugee.
It's the thing that people don't understand is that Shia Islam has really two people that could be considered leaders. All right. One of them is Ayatollah Sistani, but he's more of a spiritual leader. Ayatollah Sistani does not get into politics. Okay. And then the other one, who could it possibly be? Ayatollah Khomeini. And so people have to understand that for Shia around the world, the vast majority of them, they look towards Khomeini. And in America, in Dearborn, Michigan, the vast majority of the Muslims there are Shia Muslims. And the imams that preach at these mosques, many of them, maybe even most of them, studied in Qom.
Fuck!
Yes.
So they are basically directly supported by Islamic regime. You want to say that? Maybe we can claim. We don't know.
There
no
are
accusation.
I can't make an accusation for sure, but there are definitely connections. There have to be. You cannot convince me otherwise. You cannot, maybe not directly, but indirectly.
It might be. Let's keep it, people will understand what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We have no allegation, people. Maybe. We don't know.
I mean, the most famous, the most popular imams in America who are Shia for sure studied in Qom. For sure did.
Qom basically is, like Iraq, the city of Ayatollah Sistani. Qom is the center of this stuff, the kind of Shia Islam that they get into politics, and it's the center of it. Why you were learning stuff in Qom? It's not fucking thousands years ago that you had to go, you can learn in so many places. And who did let you in? America. That's the interesting question.
Could you speak more about that, by the way? So I have heard this from many Iranians, that there was, CIA and MI6 foul play, and maybe even France, I can't remember exactly, that allowed Khomeini to take power in Iran.
Foul play.
Can you share more information about that, the involvement?
You mean that it went wrong, yeah?
I have no idea. I really can't say for sure. I've just heard things from many, many Iranians who suspect or say that, the United States was, basically they played a role in placing Khomeini in power. So can you please explain that more? Because I genuinely have no idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Basically, Shah had to go for different reasons that we can jump into that, It was not all from American side that they were bad friends. That's bullshit. He was not also a good friend,
The Shah?
If you go to he was also not a good friend to the free world. For different reasons, especially in the last 10 years of his era, the curse of oil. He became a big dictator, he was pushing to, increase the price of oil. Americans and UK, they were begging like, what the fuck are you doing? But he couldn't refuse to do it. You know why? Because he made our economy dependent on oil, which it wasn't 10 years before it, and it was the golden era of Pahlavi. It was lovely, perfect. I mean, I give credit for that. Still, he loved his country. But the point was he had to go. Mismanagement of him, I consider it like that. 30%, other 30% Islam, and the space that he gave to the people like Khomeini and others, you know. And the other 30%, yeah, absolutely, the global order didn't want him anymore. I mean, and they had involvement for that, but they didn't. And I'm not sure that from the beginning they were trying to work with Khomeini and, you know, Islam side. Although that I think they wanted, you know, the Green Belt, Brzezinski, Islam against communism for securing Middle East, this kind of stuff. That I think, yeah, their first choice was from the beginning Khomeini. But what went really wrong that they didn't really fucking expect, it was the attack from Islamic forces after the revolution to the American embassy. That was like a fuck. They
Okay.
said
Yeah.
shit. You know, always these fucking people, they have some unpredictable stuff that even CIA will say fuck. I'm imagining that the guy behind the monitor, you know, that he's reading this news that they've got captured and they are hostage. He was like, fuck, I knew this plan doesn't work, you know? And that was basically the whole thing that happened. Yeah, they had involvement. I'm blaming them also for their fucking bad choices. Okay? But also I have to consider that Shah, for example, one of the biggest problems issues that Shah had, it was that as the leader of Middle East, you know, agent of peace in the eyes of Americans, he was like, he's our agent, not in the bad way that he was a puppet. Iran and Shah of Iran, they are our peace agent, you know, as democracy, not as American government. We want to spread peace. He can make it stable. He's ruling the Middle East. He's, you know, making these balances. Unfortunately, he couldn't lead that much well, and one of his biggest issues that he played so many times good, but he didn't back Israel that much. Unfortunately, his foreign policy was not periphery doctrine. It's from Ben Gurion. He had this foreign policy doctrine. Basically, it means empowering the foreign relationships between Israel and non-Arab countries. Can you think about that? The deterrence power that it will make.
Right, because it wasn't just Iran and Israel, it was also Turkey, right? There was sort
Or
of like an understanding between the three that, you know, we're sort of on the edges of a hostile Arab world, and, you know, we have to sort of look out for our interests.
and natural. It's really natural interest. You know, it's something that you already have. You have to recognize it.
Of course.
Geopolitically, you know, culturally. Yeah,
Of
Ben
course.
Gurion is a bit genius in my opinion for this doctrine. I got really interested in it. Yeah.
You know, it's a shame. My father loves the Shah, really loves the Shah. I remember I was visiting my father in the hospital. He was doing physical therapy, and the person he was sharing a room with was Iranian. And like, I remember when I was there with him when he, you know, first got into his room, and the Iranian gentleman, he asked, you know, where are we from? And my dad said, you know, we're Egyptian. And so I could tell by the accent that he's Iranian. So I said, as Misr Hastim, you know, we're from Egypt. And he said, Marhaba Anwar Sadat. You know, he loved
The Iranian
Anwar
guy.
Sadat. Yeah. He loved Anwar Sadat. And my dad was there for about a week, and they became such close friends. They still keep in touch, you know.
Shit!
Oh yeah. When my dad meets
Nice.
somebody who hates Islam like he does, that's his best friend for life.
Bro, you were lucky. Really, you had really a privilege in comparison with me. Brother, my mom is a Shia Muslim and she loves Islam and she loves me also. So it's so hard, you know. It's so interesting. The first woman that I was in love with, like all the boys, you know, your mom, she did teach me, and really a moderate Muslim, lovely woman, you know. For me, it was way harder. So you're privileged. Your father was also against Islam.
Yeah. I mean, listen, my mom has very, very close Muslim friends. And one of them is actually, one of her friends is closer to me than my own blood aunts,
Nice.
extremely close to me. But I always, the thing is that, they don't practice Islam fully.
Mm.
But it's like you said, it's moderate. But it's, she went for Umrah, which is like,
Yeah, the kind of easy one.
diet Hajj, right? And I remember she came back and she said something along the lines of, I wish there was religious insurance in case I was born into the wrong religion because I cannot imagine God making my life this difficult for this religion. She really hated it. It's so damn hot in Saudi Arabia at this time, and she was miserable. Like, but then, like, a couple of years later, her family was pressuring her to go to Umrah again, and it's like,
Yeah. And it
why?
wasn't. It was just Umrah, and then it was not even Tamattu. We call it like that in Iran. Tamattu is the original one that you have to go. We have two types of
The Hajj.
the Hajj. You call it, yeah. We
Yeah,
call
there's
both
Hajj and then there's
Hajj.
Umrah.
Yeah, we call the first one Hajj Umrah, second one Hajj Tamattu. Tamattu is the
Yeah,
original one. You have to,
yeah.
work your fucking ass off. And it's the genius idea of Arabs, really. We give it up, people, for Arabs, that they could build a really big touristic industry for 1,400 years out of fucking bunch of stones. Did
And
you?
it's so
I
expensive.
invite you all to go and search Kaaba on, on just look at it.
And Hajj is so expensive, man. It's
My
so expensive if
my
you're
grandma went one time. Fuck.
like
She
if
was waiting like 10 years.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, if you want to go to Hajj and like do it like in a way where you're not like completely miserable, it's gonna cost you, I think, at least 15, $20,000
Even in
to
dollar.
stay.
Fuck.
Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah,
Shit.
yeah. And the motherfuckers, they die in Hajj because they get trampled.
Yeah.
They get
One time happened.
trampled,
Several
and
Iranians died. Yeah. And
and it's
that's
crazy
crazy.
because
Around the fucking stone, it's
oh
crazy,
yeah, oh yeah,
The
oh
African
yeah.
guy. $10 billion. Alhamdulillah. $10 billion. Alright, it's madness. I mean, madness of humanity. Like, if you want to go back to 7th century, go to Mecca. Really, I'm serious. I mean, go there. Go, like, go around the stone if you dare.
And it's funny how Muhammad settled on Mecca, after he couldn't, keep Jerusalem. He's like, okay, never mind. God changed his mind. Mecca.
Our God is flexible, people.
I appreciate a God that has the ability to, change their mind. I think it's a flexible personality.
Seems like Allah was cuter, way before.
Well, even Aisha said something along the lines of, it seems like God really, works quick to apply rules in your favor.
He came quick, in your brain, Muhammad. Maybe Aisha said that. Who knows?
God, God.
And it's so interesting, people. You, how would you bet? I bet you that at least in Germany, Germany that I live. Fuck it, in Berlin. In Berlin, 99% of all Germans, or even anyone that he or she is not Muslim. He first generation, native, whatever. They don't know even 20% of these stuff that we're talking about, and we're laughing. We don't fucking care anymore. But that's the scary part for us, that in these societies that we are living, so-called free societies, which it's free, but we see that it's coming, and it doesn't remain free if you stay isolated. How will it be if you want to bet on that? I say 1% in Berlin, and that's crazy, because 84% of the voters for Zoran Mamdani, according to my information, they were Gen Z women. Oh my fucking god, woman! 80%. You're crazy. You're crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're crazy.
Yani, they're rolling out the red carpet to have their rights taken away in the future. And he's a mayor, so there's in reality, he's sort of limited in the things that he can do. You know, he can the governor of New York can easily block a lot of the things that he wants to do, and the governor has. But it's the remember how we talked last time about like the symbolism of things, how Muslims interpret things, right? So it is the symbolism of a Muslim being elected mayor to a world-class city like New York. It's an alpha mega city. For many people, they look at New York City as the center of the known world. It's essentially the financial capital of the world. And so, you know, the day that it happened, the day that he won, I got a comment on a post of mine that said, "We just won the biggest Zio-Nazi city." And you know exactly what
And
these
they
people
are
mean.
right. I mean, it's true. I mean, they think like that. You know?
You know exactly what he means by Zio-Nazi. He means Jewish.
Absolutely, bro.
He means
No, no.
Jewish.
I mean, fuck it. Even it's not just about Jewish people. That's the whole point. You know, Zio, state, whatever. That it's something that according to Quran we have to destroy. They are not Jewish state, but they are Zio state. Do you see the fucking argument behind the kind of these layers? That's why I say I'm bragging about it. I don't really care that much about anti-Semitism the way that I don't care about racism, about black people that much. I'm so sad about it. It's a form of racism. You're a fucked up piece of shit if you have this kind of opinions. But the most important thing that these motherfuckers are going against is Zionism. They are against nationality, against the only hope of us Middle Eastern in our fucking region, that it's a democracy. You know?
I have to ask you to clarify. What do you mean? I have to ask you to clarify. What do you mean you don't care about anti-Semitism? Because some people can hear that and take it the wrong way. So I think you might want to.
No, I don't care if if they see just 10 seconds of my talk, yeah, maybe they will get it wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe they are so sensitive. The way that we are fighting for anti-Semitism, we have to switch it more on anti-Zionism. It's so interesting that,
Okay.
you know?
You think anti-Zionism is the bigger fight right now than anti-Semitism?
It was always. My problem is Jewish people are going further with the label of anti-Semitism, which it's true. Absolutely it's true. You know? But when you label that person's argument is, I'm not anti-Semite, I'm anti-Zionist. But why are you not going one step further and say, how dare you to be anti-Zionist? It's even, because after that, you can see a unified country. Then you can consider left and right in it. And I have a big problem with any leftists in Israel that they don't consider themselves Zionists.
Yeah.
Which we have.
Yeah, there's some. I mean, it's not a
They
lot.
back down,
It is very fringe, but I've seen some videos of, Israelis basically like I don't even want to like talk about it. Oh,
I mean, my point at the end for the people that they had some misunderstanding. Okay, I will be nice to you today. My point is, you can't destroy racism against black people. You can't destroy, because anti-Semitism is a form of racism. Racism is something that, at least I see for hundreds of years we have it. You know, all of us, we have racism at least against one nationality. So chill, people. We can't, delete it from our societies. Anti-Semitism is the same way. But when we are talking about anti-Zionism, we are talking about wars, we are talking about intifada, we are talking about national security, we are talking about terrorism. Can you define this stuff with just these people that say they are against they are against Jewish people? No, because at its core, they are anti-Zionist, that they are producing this bullshit. You don't get a fucking AK-47 and go to a black neighbor to kill them because you're racist.
I mean,
but you start war because of anti-Zionism. You know what's my point? And at the end, I say,
what you're trying to say is that anti-Zionism is sort of like the politically acceptable form of anti-Semitism. Like, people won't call themselves anti-Semitic outright, but they will use anti-Zionism as a way to sort of disguise that.
No, I'm criticizing my own side, our side, that we are backing down against their anti-Zionist stuff. That now it's normalized to be anti-Zionist.
Okay.
And that's something that we have to fight against because we are focusing too much on anti-Semitism. The same way it's like they want to annihilate or eliminate racism. You can't,
Right,
you
no,
know?
can't.
But with this focus, if we focus more on a pragmatic thing, you know me, I always want to talk about the stuffs that they work, it will give us a kind of approach for future. I think we have to focus on anti-Zionism more than that because with that we can go for this terrorism argument, intifada, this one, that one, and eliminate this danger with because I know the other side. That's why they can bring their propaganda further and further because always the answer is anti-Semitism. These people will say we are anti-Zionist, anti-Semitic, anti-Zionist. We will lose time. But if you go and say, how can you be anti-Zionist? They can't convince like 16, 17, 18 years old German girls that you can see these interviews that I have. That they've got basically indoctrinated and they go to the fucking protests and they say free, free Palestine, it's their fashion. I see that. I've made my
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, no, and you know what? These Jewish people that, now want to label themselves as anti-Zionism, and it's not like it's, something,
Epidemic.
new. It's been around for a little bit, but they are being more and more isolated by the people that they support. Because now, if you look at somebody like Nasreen Kadwani, right? She's one of the most disgusting pro-Pallies in the United States. She heads that organization Within Our Lifetime, which is basically, within our lifetime, she wants to see Israel destroyed. That's the goal of their organization. And she's literally made posts that say it's not enough to be an anti-Zionist Jew. You have to actively support Hamas. Yeah, oh yeah. I saw it. Like, that fat piece of shit Jacob Berger?
No, these are Americans.
Yeah,
But
so...
you talk about their goddamn personality, and it's kind of like, who are these creatures? Who are these people? I mean, if I was in America, I will ask myself, where the fuck am I living? I mean, what the fuck am I doing here? I mean, what's happening? One of my friends.
I always
Go
thought
for it,
pork. I always thought pork was haram, but then I saw this pig in a hijab, and so I'm not sure anymore.
Try not to.
No, laugh. لطفاً بفرمايد.
I'm in a liberal society, so it's not easy. They can label you just like 2 seconds, It's different with America. I mean, it's so interesting that you've mentioned that actually 100% of Germans, I think they don't know or they don't want to talk about it in the whole society, in the whole country, not only in Berlin. Just talk about the concept of hijab. Why a woman, according to Islam, have to wear hijab? It's so interesting because it's just simple as that because you're a woman, you have some beauty from God Allah, and He did command you that you have to cover it. Why should I cover it? Because the men, they will get an erection, and if they get one, it's your guilt. So basically, you're a piece of shit. So everything that happened, even that man, if he rapes you, you did that. You did that. You didn't cover yourself.
Yeah, the men aren't supposed to, have any sort of control over their emotions and their instincts. It's all the women. And it's funny, I remember there was this Turkish imam who said that men who don't shave cause indecent thoughts in other men. I swear to God.
The guy was gay. The guy was gay.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. This bullshit comes just from a gay mullah. I don't have any problem to be gay, you see it.
No. Be
This
gay all you want, man. I
motherfucker
support
was
it.
gay. And there is a huge culture of, kind of gay relationship in this fucking Qom. I don't know about Iraq. In Qom, there is a really big culture of that these mullahs, they have gay relation. I think they are kind of like, I don't know, rejected gay communities that unfortunately they've got indoctrinated with Islam. I see mullahs, some of them like that, new ones. They wanted to be gay, it was not allowed, They went to fucking these kind of schools,
Yeah, I mean...
And people maybe will think that we are exaggerating. That's basically
No, we're not.
the reality.
We're not.
It's all fact.
It's the same thing in Saudi Arabia too, okay? Because the genders are so segregated. that it's very
Mm,
common for Saudi men to have relations with one another. You know, there was this I think Irish or Scottish nurse who went to work in Saudi Arabia. This is on an episode of Locked Up Abroad. I don't know if you've ever heard of the
mm,
show, but you can find episodes on YouTube. Locked Up Abroad. There was this Irish nurse who was gay, and he went to work in Saudi Arabia, and he said, gay cruising, trying to find men is incredibly easy and popular, and there's apps. I mean, not apps, websites specifically for that. Unfortunately for him, he got caught.
shit.
Yeah, he
Sad,
got
sad.
caught. So, but this is what happens. I mean, look at Afghanistan, man. Look at Afghanistan. Bachabazi. Same thing
Afghanistan is something
same
fucked
thing.
up. It's even worse. Oh my God, it's even worse. It's basically the men that they are masculine men or kind of, they are motherfuckers. These kind of men that they have gangster style, whatever. They have basically boys as slaves. The boys that they are playing on the street. And you will say how this culture is prevailing and parents are not finding out. First of all, it's a fucked up society. Islam colonized it, it's oh my God. I mean, you can say after Taliban, it's so interesting. We are still under active colonization. After Taliban, you can say that colonization succeeded in Afghanistan. Really. I mean, before it was kind of back and forth. It was colonization in front of our eyes, and it got succeeded, and you can see the results. And
Why do you
basically, they take
think
slaves like children.
think Islam succeeded so much in Afghanistan, where in comparison it failed in Iran? And when I mean failed in Iran, I mean it failed amongst the people. Most Iranians, they don't like Islam, but the Afghans that I meet are very extreme, very
Like,
extreme.
I mean, with my estimation, 70-80% of Afghani men are, I think, qualified to be deported to Afghanistan. Why? Because according to my information and my estimation, my experience, out of 7 or 8 out of 10 Afghani men, they were so cool with Taliban. And always I'm asking, in Germany I'm talking about, always I've asked, what the hell are you doing in Germany then?
Yeah. And Afghan women are very sweet. They're really no some of the kindest people that I've met were Afghan women, really. And it's
Resilient. You can see that.
I remember, there was this documentary about Afghanistan after the Taliban took over, and there was this female doctor, and she says, "I feel bad for every girl that's born in Afghanistan," and it broke my heart.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And it breaks my heart every day, but let's start with decolonizing the first one. It will
Yeah,
bring hope to the whole Middle East. About the relationship between Iran and Islam, I think actually it's so interesting that I was thinking about it like 1 week ago, and I came to some conclusions, and it was back of my head, and I would like to start like that I had this question always in my head that why do we have this kind of back and forth between Iranian identity and Islamic identity? Because as I told you, it's a culture that's were there for thousands of years, and every kind of forces from outside or invader or whatever got integrated and Iranized, within our culture and our nationality and our geography. But what the hell is wrong with Islam? And I had always this question that why these first of all this Islamic regime, they really, if you go for the last 46 years, you will say, man, you had really a government that it seems like that intentionally they were trying to ruin your country, whole country, intentionally. I mean, it's so interesting. Just go for some stuff, you will tell that to me. And I had always this question, what the hell is wrong with them? They are ruining the whole agriculture, water, infrastructure, people, culture, whatever, anything, And then, like 1 week ago, I came to this conclusion that they are colonizing. And I realized that we are really still after under I mean we are under after 1400 years we are still under active colonization. Iran is under active colonization. You can see that. There's a back and forth between forces. It's not colonized, it's not non-Islamic. What's happening there then? Colonization is happening, you know?
Yeah.
And some stuff was happening because they were dumb. But we Iranians, we are badass people, you know? We've tried to integrate Islam, you know? And as I told you, for example, for some, you know, peaks in our history, even we've invented like Islams, you know? We didn't care. Jafari, you know, like Hassan Sabah, Assassin's Creed that you fucking play, you know? I say to the people, not you. If you play it. You know, Hassan Sabah was from Qazvin, Iran, you know, Baha'i. We are so good in making religions, you know, moderate ones,
Yeah.
Zoroastrianism. And we've used it even for our national interest in Safavid Empire for unifying our country, which I've mentioned. But this motherfucker doesn't integrate. You know, in the future type of Islam that we will have, I think we will go, I mean, our leaders, hopefully, because I have this idea as a Gen Z, hopefully our leaders in the future will go for Shia Ismaili, for example, Baha'i, others to promote, or even this form of Islam, the ones that they will, you know, write different new verses that politics is haram, you know, something like that. Some moderate ones, we have to invest on them, you know, to balance these radical fanatics in our society, because unfortunately they will make babies, but they are like 10% of our society. And it's so interesting that, bro, I'm so proud of my people. We are really decolonizing our country for the first time in history. No, Islam just colonized, you know. No country could decolonize it still.
So it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I read an article on the Jerusalem Post yesterday, and it talks about how, like, Iranians in Iran, they don't give a shit anymore. Like, it's very, very rare now, I guess, according to the article, to see a woman wearing hijab. Like, they don't care, because after Israel struck Iran during the 12-day war, like, it's sort of like the lie was exposed. You know, the
Yeah.
IRGC was saying this and that about Israel, and, you know, we're gonna do this, and then once it was revealed that, you know, their military really isn't shit. I'm not saying that they didn't inflict damage on Israel. You know, a lot of those missiles, they hit hard, but I mean, Israel controlled the skies.
Like
Israel was working.
7 years old kid that they can cuss in a fight.
Right, right. Israel controlled the skies. Israel was working from within Iran. You know, they had agents in Iran setting up drone factories in Iran.
I don't know if it's true or not, but I've heard that, I don't know, Mossad did publish it or what, whatever, I've heard it, that because of the infiltration from Mossad, they've decided in Secret Service of Iran, they've decided to make a kind of internal department just for recognizing these Mossad, you know, spies between themselves. The head of that department was also from Mossad. These motherfuckers are dumb, I'm telling you. Either because of colonization or they're fucking dumbasses. They've ruined our country. Mismanagement. You read Rouhani, you know it, after Ahmadinejad. Rouhani, the president of Iran, he was there for 8 years. I think before Raisi.
He was the
That
one who
got
signed the nuclear deal with
Yeah,
Obama, right? Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And he said one time, like, I don't know, several months ago, that we went for, I don't know, something for nuclear agencies, you know, like international, I don't know the institution, CCP, whatever. And we were kind of giving some proposal. We had to do it, you know, in that limitation that we have according to the international law. It will be a huge problem. We had to do it, whatever, this one, that one. And at the end, the result was shitty. Unfortunately, I mean, fortunately, whatever. It got fucked up. And he said it, Rouhani said it in a small room, and it was just because we didn't know. Why? Because they don't have even good lawyers that they know international law. Why? They can't find someone? No, the problem is the first thing that they will ask from you, it's your loyalty towards Islam and Shia Islam and regime. You can't believe it. I mean, you know it in Egypt because they have kind of this Aghazadeh stuff, like the son of big people, you know, they will get the money,
Yeah,
whatever.
of course, corruption,
The
corruption.
one that they want to get hired, it's so interesting, it's factual. Media will not talk about it, activists will not talk about it, so-called Iranian opposition will not talk about it. They will you have to go through if you want to be hired for, like oil infrastructure, the ones that they are governmental, controlled by government, or I don't know, information, satellites, whatever. They will ask you this kind of stuff, and they call it aqidati, jalase aqidati, like beliefs interview. And a fucking savage will sit in front of you, and they will ask you that how good is your Islam? I mean, how committed are you to your Islam? I mean, like, do you fast? What's your activities? And you have to, grow some beard and mustache, and you say, yes, yes, Hajj Agha, Haji, I do some stuff. Actually, when I was 10 years old, I was reading Quran. Yeah, I was Hafiz, the ones that they can
Yeah, they
memorize whole
memorize.
Quran.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was Hafiz of Quran. I could remember and read it. This one, that one. And I had friends that they were like, he had this interview at the, in morning. At the fucking night in the one of the top sides of Shiraz, we were fucking smoking a joint and we were laughing about it. See, even that person didn't give a fuck. And that's what they are doing. Do you pray 5 times a day? Motherfuckers, I want to work for oil industry. How is it relevant? So then you can see that even in the presidential level, they didn't have even a good fucking lawyer. That's so dumb.
Because it suffers from something, and it's unfortunate because it's one of the countries that suffers the most from this. It's brain drain.
What's that?
Smartest people. What brain drain is your smartest and most capable people, your smartest and most capable citizens will leave the country if they can. They do not want to stick around to live in this shit show with Akhund and Arabzadeh and Vatan Farouche, all these fucking pieces of shit in the IRGC.
Arabzadeh is racist, actually. Arabzadeh means, we've got born from Arabs. But for thousands of years, we had Iranian Arabs, even Lakhmian. Did you hear about that? It's kind of like Arabs, ancient Arab.
Yeah.
Even Arabs in Arabian Peninsula, they were calling them Iranian Arabs. Lakhmian, for example, it was kind of...
No, I'm not saying anything about like Iranian Arabs in Khuzestan or anything like that. I'm just saying like there's the ones, the Iranians where they might have like 0.0001% Arab blood and they call themselves Sayyid.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm Mirza actually. My mom is Sayyid. I'm Mirza.
Really?
I'm Mirza Navid.
Wow. Habibi.
The father of my grandfather, I've heard. I mean, we are talking about Qajar. We didn't have even Iran. It was fucked up, like tribalist. We had a king, so-called. It was so fucked up. During Qajar, before Pahlavi, the father of my grandfather, I've heard that he was a mullah. I don't know in which level, maybe in a fucking village or whatever, but that's called people progress. The father of my grandpa was a mullah, and now I'm here and I'm fucking atheist. That's called decolonization by Iranians. Welcome.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot, man. Isn't it true that Khomeini's grandson is like completely against the regime? Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. Khomeini's grandson.
We have some people like that. I don't know. But for example, son or some of the sons and daughters of these regime guys, sometimes, but most of them, I mean, few I know, and I don't remember their names, but most of the time they will get killed, like suicide,
Yeah, suicide. We had the same thing in Egypt, actually. There was this one guy named Ashraf Marwan. He was a double agent, so he gave secrets to Israel. And then he became very rich, actually. He became very, very wealthy. And suicide, he fell out of a window from a very tall building. Of course the Egyptian mukhabarat got to him, the Egyptian intelligence services. But I think they either said it was suicide or he just fell out of a window. Like, that shit just happens. People just fall out of windows.
Middle East.
I have so much more hope for Iran than I do for Egypt.
Bro, one of our episodes, you told me that 80% of Egyptians, they believe if you get out of Islam, you have to be stoned or whatever. And I was like, what?
If you get out, 80% believe that if you leave Islam, you should be put to death.
And on that episode, I've talked about Middle Eastern Union with you, MEU. And I've said, starting with Israel, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and you said no. I think Lebanon is better because of that. Then I thought about it a bit more, and I was like, no, 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 absolutely not Egypt, because it's not their government, it's even the society,
It's the
and it's so
people.
fucked up. In Iran, it's a bit different, and now it's absolutely different. Yeah, I
No, in
mean, it's
Iran, it's the government, not the people.
yeah,
You know, even
and I'm sad to say that
even
actually.
religious Shia in Iran that they hate the regime because they understand that the regime failed the country.
Actually, Shia Islam is also a bit Iranian, I think. Actually, that was my question. Is it Iranians did develop it because it was in Iraq? I think they brought these motherfuckers. How is it?
I think the version of Shia Islam that's in Iran is heavily Persianized. It's heavily Persianized
Mm.
to the extent where, like, if you compare Shiism between Iraq and Iran, if you don't know any better, you might think it's two different religions.
But we've got that from I think Iraq, right? It got born in Iraq, or do you know about that?
I know that the story of Hussein is from a city called Kufa, Iraq.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, that's where he was killed. You know, that's why they say Labayk ya Hussein. But I can't remember exactly what I know. It was the Safavid dynasty that, you know, made Shia Islam sort of the state religion, and I think they even forcibly converted a lot of people who were Sunnis into Shia Islam. But I can't remember exactly the timeline.
Yeah, but the development, I think it was with Iran. Yeah, and they've used that. In those era it worked, but unfortunately, we are paying the consequences because it was really a good build, for unifying the country against Ottoman Empire. Bro, Ottoman Empire was so hard to handle.
Yeah,
Those motherfuckers did invade Europe, but they couldn't invade Iran, so we did hell of a good job, But still, they've adopted this Islam in all the levels, and it ruined. And it's so interesting after it, that we've got attack from east and west, and that was the point in the history that I can see in history why we are disconnected with Afghans, we Iranians. They don't consider themselves Iranians. We don't consider ourselves Afghans. We say they are brothers and sisters. Most of the people that they say that, it's bullshit. At the end of the day, they don't see them Iranian. They see them Afghan, but they claim they are our sister. At least I'm
yeah.
realistic. About it.
It's
And
funny
it was because of
because it's funny.
Mahmoud Afghan. He did invade Iran.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
was this connection.
Well, it's funny because I heard Muhammad Hijab say this one time. You know who Muhammad Hijab is? He's one of those
Yeah,
fucking
don't
Dawa idiots.
start it. No, 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 no.
He was criticizing Shia Islam, right? And you want to know why he was criticizing Shia Islam? He's criticizing Shia Islam because Shia Islam never conquered Kafir countries. He said for 99% of Shia history, they fought against Sunnis. I was like, good job, Shia.
Yeah,
Good job.
absolutely. No, you can see Iranian roots in it. How Shia Islam was functioning. Even he's so right about it. Not even against cattle. I mean, geographically couldn't, but not that much against the whole neighbors. They were like Sunnis. We were just in some ways we were trying. In my opinion, it's not factual. This part. It's kind of my estimation with the first-hand knowledge that I have, first-hand experience, and also the history that I've read. I think we had Iranians and Islam. We had always this kind of this kind of relationship throughout the history. Like distancing and then adopting it for various reasons in different time moments of history. Sometimes it works. Sometimes who are we to judge? Maybe they didn't have any other choice. If you see Safavid, dynasty, you will say, if we go back and see them, maybe in their opinion, it was not like that. To develop Islam in this way to fuck our whole country. Maybe they were patriots, but they were also pragmatic. They said, if we don't use Shia Islam, we can't make this block for our sovereignty. So history is complicated, and who
History is
knows?
very
Yeah,
complicated. It's
yeah.
not as black and white as people think. Well, anyway, man, we got to wrap it up for today. Navid, thank you so much for coming back, man. It's always a pleasure, man. You're like I
I
swear,
didn't
you're like my little
realize
brother.
it's 1 hour. It's 1 hour. I didn't realize.
We could
Fuck.
keep talking about this shit for so long, bro. We could. But, like I never told you this either, but like this is Iran week for me. Like I'm having on only Iranian guests this week. So I had Ali on Sunday, I have you today, and then I have a special guest tomorrow. I'm not gonna give it away yet, you know.
Yo,
I'm not going to give it away yet, but thank you for making my Iran week very special, Navid. Thank you. You were somebody who I needed for this. And it actually kind of worked out well because when we had to reschedule, I was like, oh, this actually works perfectly because I get to have you for Iran week.
yeah, even
So,
better. My pleasure.
yeah,
My
you will
pleasure,
come
man.
back soon, soon enough.
Thank you, man, for having me. Thank you, man.
Azizam, Khudafiz.
Love you. Habibi ya Noor
Love
al-Ain.
you,
Bye
do.
bye.
Love you too. Take
Love you.
care.
Bye bye. You too.